Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of the Three Pillars podcast from Conduit and Capcom. I'm Kai Boyd, the co-founder and CEO of Conduit, and my co-hosts on the show are Michitsuru Okabe, otherwise known as Okabe-san, and Thomas Verart from Capcom. So why are we starting a podcast, and why us three specifically? So for whatever reason, I've always felt drawn to helping creative people find their voice, even though I'm not the creative person myself. I think my early piano lessons could be a testament to that. And for the last decade, that's mostly been helping creative people such as video game developers. So anyone from a solo developer working on a game by themselves to a big team of hundreds. It's also why we started the Conduit company, is to help those games and developers get discovered and find their communities. So this podcast is kind of an extension of that. The name Three Pillars comes from the three main topics we'll cover on the show. Firstly, undiscovered games and the people behind them. Second is cross-cultural work, since Okabe-san and Thomas are in Osaka, Japan, I'm in Los Angeles, and we've all spent a lot of time overseas. And third are insights from Capcom's success in games and how they continue forward in the coming years. And so Thomas, Okabe-san, and I have been friends for years now, and even though we grew up on three different continents. So we hope that understanding and interests and other perspectives comes across in the show, and that we get better at that with you each and every day. The first episode is broken into two parts as we start talking about life in Japan, what's happening in the games industry today, and where it might be headed. We'll also have a full Japanese plus English version, as well as an English only version for those bilingual friends or ones interested in learning some Japanese. And a quick disclaimer, the opinions on this podcast are those of the individuals themselves and do not reflect the views of the companies those individuals represent. And now let's head to the episode. Ikimashou. Yeah, guys, I guess we have a podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
first episode.
Finally.
Yeah.
Yeah, how long have we been talking about this?
I don't know, but I think it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
After we...
All things considered, fairly quick. I think we came with this idea, what was it, November or October last year, I feel?
Yeah.
I feel we had real conversations about,
Right.
concrete conversations about this in December, I remember.
True. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was probably after Gamescom, after Germany last year, and then we were thinking about what to do next.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in. This is for this first episode of the Three Pillars podcast from Osaka in Japan.
Yeah.
Kansai. Yeah.
Exciting.
I know. Have either of you listened to any podcasts from Kansai, or from people from Osaka before?
No, actually not. Like, I found some data of like the countries that listen the most and the least, and like Japan was the dead last.
Oh, really?
Like only 5% of like the people that replied to a survey were actually like listening to podcasts. So it's to say like, let's do a podcast was something like very, like a lot of, like I remember we were thinking of doing a podcast for another project that we had going, like Capcom Arcade Stadium basically.
Yeah.
And then everyone on the team was like, nah, yeah.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Yeah. Let's just make a Twitter, well now X account, and then start from there, which was interesting.
Is it? Do they think like, oh, like I've heard of podcasting, but it's more of a Western thing, or like not really popular thing, or like what was the reason?
I don't really. I think.
たまに英語を習いたい人とか、ニュースとか、株式情報とか、より詳細な情報を取りたい人。
Yeah, so basically, like news and like learning English. It's more like education, or like figuring out more detailed stuff about getting a more detailed opinion on things.
I see.
And I think my personal theory on why it hasn't taken off in Japan is because radio also isn't really that big of a part of like Japanese culture. Like I feel in Japan, like TV has taken over like the role of radio as well, because like in lots of places you have a TV, like lots of restaurants, or in the car you can even watch TV, or some cars at least, or like. So I feel a lot of TV shows are more like radio programs where a lot of people talking, sharing their opinion, but it's all like on TV. So like audio only or like radio talk shows is not really a thing, or it wasn't really that part of the culture. And I feel podcasts kind of grew from like the 80s, 90s, like popular talk radio into podcasts, which I feel that's probably why there's not so much a connection.
受験生とかがねラジオを聞くっていう文化はありますけど、
そうなんですね。
普通の人はなかなかあんまり分かんないですね。手作業する工場労働の人とか、あとトラックの運転手とかはラジオを聞いてるイメージはありますね。
Yeah, so like for cram school, like if you wanted to get into like your entrance exams for universities and stuff, those people listen to radio, or like truckers, or like if you do more like hard labor, where
long distance driver,
long distance truckers,
because then you're in a space by yourself, also listening to something from a speaker. But what is the cram school use? Why do people?
I think just when studying, like you turn on the radio to.
Oh, more like background noise. Not like I'm learning math from the radio.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I never thought about that. Podcasting comes from radios, and then that was, say, like in the US, that was really big because everyone has their own space in their car or their own house, and you can play your music. As loud as your parents let you.
Right.
So usually the parents are the ones listening to the radio.
Right.
So,
yeah. In the weekends, or like the radio is always on in my house. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah.
What was on the
like
Belgian,
every
on the
like
radio?
like they did like what was it like the top 50 songs of like the sales charts for like the pop charts. That would always be on Saturday and Sunday, so I guess that's why my parents put it on. And then in between there was talk radio, or like there were some talking segments or so. But yeah.
どんなポッドキャスト聞きます？
What kind of podcast? I listen to 4 podcasts a week. The first one, the most niche one, is a Belgian podcast, a Dutch podcast. Okay. It's basically Joe Rogan Belgian version. It's like this Belgian comedian, Flemish-speaking comedian who interviews many different people, like writers or like many different people in the media landscape. And then the other one is a podcast called Trash Taste, which is actually they're very successful, but that is a podcast based from Japan, but it is like of foreign people living in Japan, or like anime fans about more of that geek culture from Japan, and they're all also YouTubers, so they're very charismatic personality. It's more personality based. It's more like hanging out with friends kind of podcast instead of learning stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Do you listen to the podcast in a normal speed or 2 times faster?
No, I listen to normal speed.
Okay.
So.
I always listen to 2 times faster.
Oh, really? Yeah.
2 times, yeah. That's impressive.
You want to get as much content as possible.
Yeah.
もう聞かないといけないものがどんどん溜まっていくから。
Yeah. For me, it's more a background noise. So like.
Okay.
So like I put it on when I bike to work, or like when I'm on the treadmill at the gym, or like. And I don't really listen. Like sometimes if I don't hear it perfectly, I used to like rewind and make sure I got it. But nowadays I'm just like, I can't be bothered anymore. It's not that important.
There's still 500 more episodes waiting for you. If you skip that one, that's true. Even the way we consume media now, it is more like that. Because before it's like, say you bought a video game, it's like you want to go back and every little point counts because there's only a certain amount of scenes or like stuff you can listen to. Yeah, I feel like for me, for podcasts? I feel like since, with Conduit and like starting the company, I like hearing from other people, like more like hard examples of how did people do stuff. They could be, pilots or business owners. Like I think one is called the Founders Podcast, which is more like for people that have started businesses. But another one that's pretty popular in the US is called How I Built This by NPR, which is like a big liberal radio, or I don't know if it's liberal, just big radio station. And but it's like, it's all kinds of stuff. Like people could have like a ceramic shop or, a garbage truck business, or they build statues. And so it's like kind of interesting just to hear like how do these different fields of people think. I feel like I do 1.5 when I can, and then sometimes it's like going so I like realize I'm not paying attention because it's too fast, and then I have to like stop and like turn it back.
Do you listen at like 1.5 2 speed while doing something else, or are you mainly
back to work, or just commute from my house to the train station?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I guess if it's just like moving, you can almost do it on autopilot, so to speak. So,
That's my idea. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I feel like that means you have a focused mind, because it's like you're kind of like exercising and then you like want to go deep into the
Wow.
yeah.
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 Oh, that's true.
I feel like I wouldn't want to play against you in a video game. You probably like,
Yeah.
you just destroy me.
And what do you listen to usually then?
リビルドっていうプログラムがあるんですけど、それはGoogle の人から教えてもらって、その人もゲストでたまに出てたりするんですけど、割とその日本では有名なのかな。で、テック系のお話するんですよ。アップルの新製品が出た時とかもそうですし、彼らは基本的になんですか、実際にソフトウェアのエンジニアなんで、その辺の界隈の話が聞けて、そのツイッターが X になる時のイーロン・マスクの話とか、その実際にツイッターの会社にいる人たちの話とかってなるんで、すごく裏側が聞けて面白いっていうのが一つで、もう一つはバイリンガルニュースっていうのは同じような感じなんですけど、そこは日本語と日本人の方は日本語で、多分日本に住んでると思うんですけど、英語ネイティブの人は英語で話して、でそれを2人は英語と日本語混ざりながら話をするみたいな、それはどちらかというと、それもテック系のニュースとか、他いろんなニュースも含めてなんですけど、なんていうんですかね、それをどちらかというと英語学習者向けにやってるみたいな、アプリとかも別で出してたりとか、英語学習、その2つが中心で、あともう一つは日本の株式情報みたいなのを、全然株やらないけれども株式の情報を聞くことでいろんな会社の情報とか日本の経済状況が分かるんで、その3つが大体聞きますね。
すごいです。So basically 3 podcasts. What was the rebuild podcast, which was more about like tech, of like people inside like tech talking about like new developments, like Google engineers and stuff.
Okay.
Is it Japanese based?
Japanese based.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. So
I think they live in US or somewhere else. But
okay. What was the other one? Then bilingual news, right?
Yeah.
Which was like kind of similar to what we were doing, like just discussing news, but one is speaking Japanese, the other is speaking English, and it's kind of like a tool to improve your English.
Oh yeah. How do they go back and forth with that? Like,
so both two are actually the bilingual. So one Japanese person speak basically only Japanese, but both understand the Japanese and the English. So she speak only Japanese, but the guy responds in English.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Huh.
Basically, it's for the English learners. So
I see. Oh, okay. So most of it will be in Japanese then.
Yeah. Most of them, the audience is Japanese.
Oh, okay. Huh. Oh, that's cool.
And then stocks, right?
Stocks.
Stock related podcasts.
Oh,
even
really?
Though it's not a big. This isn't heavily into stocks, but yeah, it's good to learn about new companies and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Economy and
Oh, so more for like just seeing what other companies are up to, or like what? Okay. Yeah. So I was gonna say, is buying stocks big in Japanese culture?
Getting
there. Yeah.
Okay.
I think when I started doing my master's degree here, there was like there's this plan called NISA, which basically you get like tax reduction, or you don't have to pay taxes up to a certain amount.
Oh, okay.
If you get that much profit in stocks.
Oh, okay.
So like if for say you earn like 2 million Japanese yen through stocks, or like by selling stocks, then that you don't have to pay tax on that. So it was a good way to get like a lot of people into stocks, because Japanese banks are Japanese banks, and they don't really, there's almost no like interest on anything, or like if you put it in the bank, you basically make no money off of it.
Oh, that type of interest.
It.
Earned interest on savings or CDs.
Savings. So they try to push people towards stocks. My name is very annoying to write in Japanese, so I always have trouble like opening a bank account. I tried to do stocks once, and they're like, "Oh, you need to resend your." I needed to send a copy of my visa and stuff like that, like my residency card. And your date of birth isn't exactly 100% clear. Can you resend it? It might be badly scanned. I looked at it, but it was just like gone from, like the number had gotten off of the card itself. So they wouldn't accept it, and I was just like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I'll quit. But my wife is like a couple of years when COVID started. She was like, I need to get into stocks. And then lately she's been boasting a lot that she made a lot of money.
Oh yeah,
So.
did she get GameStop and AMC?
Oh, yeah.
she's a crypto billionaire. Yeah.
Ethereum, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I thought I saw her on that Kansai crypto group. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I remember like when I was in because like for me growing up in US, all my roommates from college and I, pretty much as soon as we graduated, we started buying some stocks.
Mm-hmm.
Some did well, some did not. We didn't have much money back then either.
Right.
But it was like, I feel like that was almost in the culture, at least like our friend group, and mostly like Asian Americans, I guess, at UCLA. And then when I went to Germany, it's like the opposite. It's like everyone's like cash based savings.
Yeah.
No one I think that I talked to in the last couple of years had anything in terms of stocks. Yeah. If they were like born and raised in Germany.
Yeah.
Very different culture again.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Huge difference compared to Japan.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel so. Yeah, I'm not really sure why. I think we're just not educated about it enough. I'm not sure how Japan is now with like younger people in schools. I think it is taught a lot more, but like back when I was growing up, it was also like, I guess the banks, you still had some interest. So as long as you kept it in the bank and kept it safe, you would get some money. Yeah. But I guess we weren't prepared for like the different economic situation.
Yeah. How has schooling changed, you think? Because Kabe-san, you grew up in Japanese school system.
私も40年前とかですよね。もう30年以上前学校ね。今のでも自分の子供の小学校の参観日って英語とかあるんですかね、参観ね。参観に行くんですけど、正直日本の教育全然変わってない感じがするというか、すごくやっぱりもうすごくなんていうんですかね、悪い言い方になるとは思うんですけど、もう学校の仕組みってどっちかというともう古くから言うと富国強制時代みたいな、その兵隊を育てるみたいな、まあ工場労働者を育てるみたいなその教育だったので、でもその感じが残ってるのが現代でも、ただその変わってるのはその多様性はやっぱり入れないといけないみたいなとか、いろいろ価値観が変わってるところと、そこがすごく今ごっちゃになってて、結果としていいと思えないっていうのが多くあって、そのなんですかね、男女平等にしようとして、その今だと君とさんっていう、その男の子は君、女の子はさんっていうのがあるけど、それをもう廃止してもう全員さんにするとか、あとはもうそのなんていうんですかね、まあそういう何か違和感しかないというか、余計その古い体制のまま新しいものを入れて、何かそれが混ざらずまだらになってるというか、ミックスがちゃんとできてないみたいな、気持ち悪いなっていうのを感じましたね、参観に行った時に。
Yeah, so actually, like Okabe-san, it's like 40 or like around 30, 40 years ago since Okabe-san went to school. But like when you have like open class day where you can like participate and he sees his kids in class, he actually a bit shocked that it hasn't changed that much.
Like hoping it would.
Yeah. Or like like values have changed, so they're trying to make it more modern, but at the same time, it's still very like how to say. How to create people, like effective people in like factories or like good like
rank and file, as you would say,
and that. But they try to bridge it with like the newer concepts, so like male, female, all the same. So like in Japanese, you can say like kun at the end of a name. Kun is for guys, and then girls are usually called san. But like now they should both be san instead of kun and san, and stuff like that. So. It feels a bit of an amalgamation. It hasn't really evolved yet, but it hasn't like they're trying to put things in there, so it's a little bit half-baked, I guess you could say. Yeah.
So it's like there's some things maybe about like gender equality or like giving visibility to certain people, but then like the actual tracks or like the type of work or like opportunities are pretty similar. Is that what you mean? Or
なんて言うんでしょうね。まあでも学校に行ってみて一番思うのはもうなんて言うんですかね、そのやっぱり先生たちが大変だなっていうのがもうずっと でもすごくこの前道徳っぽい道徳の授業ってあるんですかね、海外とか道徳っぽい授業があって、その平等とは何かみたいな授業だったんですよ、3巻に行った時に。で平等とは何か、そんな感じの授業で、ただなんか聞いててすごく違和感があったし、なんかね、子供たちにそういう刷り込みをしたくないなと思いながらちょっと聞いてるみたいな感じはありましたからね。なんでモダンになろうとしてるけど、やっぱり価値観が古いままなんですごく違和感がずっとあって、なんか日本人がグローバルに行けない理由をなんかもうやっぱりここで感じるなっていうのはね、よく思いますよね。
Yeah, so it's more of how to say. It's difficult to put into words exactly what is missing, but Okabe-san joined like a class about morals, I guess. I think we have that in the West as well. Moral, like, well, for me, it was more religion that also thought like morals or what is a good thing to do. But like they had that class, but at the same time, like they tried to make it more modern, but at the same time, it was still like rooted in those old values.
Oh, that's true.
So it wasn't really like that innovative, and like he feels it's with examples like this that you can kind of feel why Japan sometimes struggles to become more globalized, like catch up with like the world around it, I suppose. Very, very in the middle, in between, not really one thing, not really the old thing, or when it tries to be the new thing, it's still like very looking back on things that made it work back in the past, or like very rooted in the past still. So
もうあんな感じだったらいっそのこと武士道を教えるとか、そっちの方がもいいんじゃないかなって思うぐらい、もっともう古いものを教えた方が価値観として。
So might as well just go grab all the way back to like the Bushido, like the way of like the warrior back in the day.
I was just watching YouTube video. Oh, I think I actually downloaded some for the plane. Sometimes like on the way to Japan, I'll download some like Japanese cultural or like bilingual videos just to like get back in the mood. And they were talking about, I didn't, it's probably been known for a while. I didn't realize, because in US, even Americans know the word Bushido and they think of samurai, but then didn't realize like how that is put on, or you can tell me if this is true, it's just what the video said was like that Bushido is put into the workplace, and so that's what leads to like some of the toxic like black company culture and like you're training everyone as warriors and like it's very harsh, but like maybe that was a time of war or like military strength, and so this is something different, and so just because they worked at one time, it's maybe not translating as well. So
that's for me as a Western guy in a Japanese company. That's sometimes difficult to align because like in Europe, especially in Europe, like like in like France, the individual is so important, or like the value of the individual, and like you should always be like not always be about you, but like you should always be like in value. But sometimes when you get to situations in Japanese companies, like you don't matter right now. What matters is to get this thing done or to get that thing done, like, which is sometimes difficult to align or like.
我々のその部門も割とそのいろんな国から来てる人たちがいるんですけど、やっぱり日本の文化は当然理解してると思うけれども、当然その特にヨーロッパから来てるような人は自分の主張がはっきりする。もう若い人でも自分の主張をはっきり言う。それも目上の人であろうと関係なく言うことは言うみたいな。ただやっぱりその上の人からするとウェルカムなんですけど、言ってくださいね。我々グローバルの会社なんで言ってほしいです。なんだけれども実際にもうすごい年の上の人がもう入ったばっかりの若い人にすごくストレートな指摘をされるっていうのは正直気分がいいものではないってなってしまう。この文化がどうしてももうちょっとあとこの先何年も残るとは思うんで、正直なところ言ってることとやってることが噛み合わないっていうのは続くだろうなっていう。でそこをね、主張がはっきりしてる人っていうのは、主義主張がはっきりしてる人っていうのはやっぱり日本だとなんていうんですかね、居心地が悪くなるかもしれないなっていうのはよく思いますよね。でね、トーマスとかもすごくもう日本人より日本人みたいな状態になっていく、ね、ところありますけど、やっぱり主義主張をはっきりすることが 当然な国から来るとなかなかやっぱり日本はまだまだ住みにくいというか、ことがあるんじゃないかなとは思いますよね。
Yeah, like well, on the surface, like everyone says that, like, because we are a very like international, global department, so we have many people from many different cultures. But if you come from a culture that like is very, direct and like, it's difficult at times, or it can be very like, how to say, not crushing, but like. Suffocating, I think.
Yeah.
Like, because like on the surface,
yeah.
we say like the top boss or like the top chief say, hey, like we're global, so anything you want, just give it to me straight. But like if you do give it to them straight, like because there has been like many years where they where it wasn't like that, then if you do say like, yeah, actually I think this is really stupid and we shouldn't do it, then they're not happy about it, like about it either, right? So it's difficult trying to, like, similar to the school thing I think we talked about, difficult to align those two things. So I feel if you're like even I like when I speak English, or especially when I speak Dutch, I'm much more straightforward, but because I've been in Japan for so long and was able to adapt, or like to be more roundabout, I guess, or like even not straight enough, or like you could be a little bit more clear about it as well. So that's why I think if you're really so like, hey, I want to say my mind and want to say it when I want to say it, it can be difficult at times, I think.
I see.
I agree with that opinion for sure. And maybe for the next, what I mentioned as well, for the next couple of years, it's most likely will still be like this. But I'm guessing, we're slowly getting like a generation shift of like when the newer generation becomes like higher management, then that might change again as well. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because I think it's pretty clear to people like, oh yeah, there are cultural differences. Like even in US, like people say New York people are very direct, and LA people or San Francisco people are very indirect. And I think it's pretty true. Being a California person myself, it's like I'm less direct. But I didn't think about it. Yeah, within. Like if you're within the same company in the same department, and you're trying to say like, oh yeah, we are global, please be more direct with me. And then you try. That could not go over well. The pros, the cons probably vastly outweigh the pros there. Yeah. I know. Is there anywhere like anyone in Japan that tends to be more direct?
It's all relative towards each other, so I wouldn't say that it's like coming from like super direct Europeans or something. I do feel like Kansai area is a bit more open, a bit more direct.
Oh yeah.
Which from my experience, like international marriages that go well is usually a Kansai person with like someone else.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So you've heard more Kansai international couples staying together than maybe Tokyo or somewhere else.
Yeah. Maybe we are more like easygoing, open-minded, or
That's true. I mean, listeners can't see us, but even us in this room right now, we have, Okabe-san is like grown up in Japan, but like obviously spent a lot of time in different cultures. And then Thomas from Belgium, and then moved to Japan. How old were you when you moved here?
So when I first came to when I first came to Japan, I was 21, I believe. And I've been here, for 11 years now. So
I grew up in California. My grandmother's Japanese. Honestly didn't get exposed to the culture much until I was my first time to Japan. I think I was 24.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't know anything. I mean, not like my Japanese is great now, but kind of almost like as I'm getting older, I'm like discovering more of like the Asian culture side of it. We're hanging out in Kansai and like from very different backgrounds originally. That's hard to say if it happened in Tokyo, or a lot of other places. So,
it's interesting.
So we definitely do I'll work in the games industry, and I'll have for a long time. What stands out to either of you now about what's going on in games industry?
I feel it's definitely changing a lot more. To time the episode a bit, but there's a lot of talk about Xbox announcing something about like first party titles perhaps coming out on other platforms and so on and so forth, or like lots of layoffs. And I feel like COVID really like hypercharged the industry. And now we're slowly coming down, and with coming down, I think there will be some structural changes to how things are done, or at least that's how I feel things will be going. So I definitely feel, big changes are on the way.
私が一番でも最近思うのはやっぱり開発費の違い。私がもう始めた頃っていうのはもうほぼ30年ぐらい前になるんですけど、その時だと小さいグループでもう多分1億円もかかってないようなプロジェクトを1年未満で作って出すサイクルからもう今は我々がどうかっていうのはあれですけど、全般的に言ってももう何十億、なんだったらもう100億円規模みたいな状態になっていく。もうそれもしかも徐々になっていったっていうよりもここ数年で一気にどんどんね、そっちのバジェットが倍になりとか、もう言ったらもう桁が一つ上がるみたいな状況になってくるっていうのが、一番その違いが大きな部分になるかなと思いますね。遊ぶ人にとってはいいことですよ、多分。ちょっと値段はね、10ドル、20ドル上がるケースもありますけど、同じ値段で10倍のお金がかかったゲームが遊べるみたいな状態にはなってるかなとは思いますよね。なんでソフトの値段って今後どうなるかっていうのはあると思いますけど、正直1本に70ドルぐらいですかね、今だと。70ドルぐらいの製品に対してのコストのかけ方がもう10倍以上になってるっていうのが大きな違いかなとは思いますね。
Yeah, so basically dev costs and how those have ballooned a lot in the last couple of years. Because like around 30 years ago, I guess, when Okabe-san started, it was like one project was like not even $1 million US dollars, I guess. And you would create that in a year and then you would go on to the next project and so on and so forth. But now we've seen dev time expand a lot as well as costs. It's like really, especially in the last couple of years, right? Like they really increased heavily like over more than 100 million for anything to be created, basically. Or like the bigger types of titles, I guess. So that's definitely an interesting development to see how it has evolved. But I mean, from a consumer perspective, like costs have increased a little bit, like from 60 to 70, but overall you're getting more value for your money, or at least like, you know, higher budgets behind all those titles. So I think that makes that is what stood out to him the most.
Yeah, is that the dev costs went up dramatically? Is that because like people command more pay? Like, is it the actual, like it costs more to hire people to work on games, or the technology is really expensive and advanced now, or like what do you think is actually the source of the cost increasing?
でもプレイ時間を伸ばすためとか、そのオープンワールドなんでも一回も行かないけど遠くに見えるところまでしっかり作るとか、もう本当に細かくなっている、そのポリゴン数がどんどん上がると、当然それに合わせて作らないといけない。解像度が上がるとその分作る、データ量が増えるイコールやっぱり人月コストがかかるっていう状態があって、どうしても効率よく作るそのツールとかもいっぱい出てるけど、結局は最後人の手で調整とか作ったりするから、もう時間がどんどん、その私が前プロジェクトで関わったタイトルとかも、一つのキャラクター作るのに、お金がどれだけかかるかっていうのを出してもらったんですけど、もうなんていうんですかね、高級車じゃとどまらないぐらいの金額が一つのキャラクターにかかるんですよ。実際にキャラクター一つにどれくらいかけるかっていうのは、いろんな要素があるんで、ちゃんとは出ないっちゃ出ないんですけど、アニメーションとかテクスチャーとかいろんな要素が入るから。ただでも大体これくらい作るのにこれくらいの金額と期間がかかるみたいな。もうほぼ1年ぐらいかかるし、もう金額で言ったらもうスーパーカー買えるしみたいな状態。なんでもう大変だな。
Yeah, so basically it's just, because you know, resolutions have gone higher, or like open worlds are quite common now, so you really have to put in the detail and make it very put care into the details as well, because everything is so clear right now that if you don't do it, it probably stands out more. And like there are tools that help, you know, with development, but in the end you always need like people looking over it, making sure that it works or not. So that's probably the reason why, or like Okabe-san mentioned in his past projects, like just to create one additional character, you could be able to buy like a supercar, and it takes around a year to add that extra character, and it's like
Wow.
it's difficult to see where exactly most of the
Yeah.
costs lie of like textures or animation and
Oh,
so
I
on and
see.
so forth. But still, it's like just for this one extra additional character, you need to spend that much more, which just
Yeah.
goes to show how complex and I guess expensive it all has become lately. So
Yeah, that's true. I guess if every game becomes something more like an open world, I mean, they're assuming it's more like a winner takes all strategy too, right? It's like they're big, really immense worlds. Like even a game like Baldur's Gate came out last year. It was really it's funny on the plane over. There was a guy a row in front of me who was just playing Baldur's Gate the whole time on his laptop, which is great because I basically got Twitch on the airplane. So I could basically read everything they were saying too. So I was just like, there was an older guy next to me across the aisle, and a couple of times he's like, "What is this guy?" I could tell he was like, "What is this guy staring at?" Because he couldn't see the computer. It's like this guy is so nosy, just staring at this other guy. Yeah, it was great. But anyway, yeah, it's like that. That game is like so. Yeah, it's like it's so deep, and like person only has so many hours to play games every month, and it's like you can easily spend it all in one game.
yeah.
So then, like is what, are we gonna end up having, like, I was always curious if there's gonna be this, like, games are gonna be polarized. They're either gonna be really big open world, big budget games, like GTA 6 or whatever. Or they might be really small, bite-sized games, like when I was in China last December. It's interesting that what's taking off there are WeChat and TikTok games that are embedded in the app. So someone joins, loads, plays a game in like a couple minutes, and the monetization on those is like far outpacing some of the more traditional titles. So. At least again, when you're looking at costs, like for actually having a profitable game. So, yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned that of like the big open world games and so many hours that you can put in there. I think like a lot of the layoffs and like titles not hitting how they were supposed to hit. I think it just comes down to there were too many good games. And like people only have so much time to spend in like in those worlds, right? So So yeah, I'm not sure how mobile is doing nowadays. Actually, or like you mentioned, like the smaller bite-sized games. I guess.
Yeah.
I wonder how that is going. Like if there are lots of layoffs in that space, or if it's quite different compared to like the AAA or like AA or so on. And so
In Japan, recently we have the Suica game. It's a pretty much popular one. Do you know the Suica game? Maybe it's only for the Japan.
It used to be watermelon game.
Yeah. Wait, it's not the fruit. Is it the fruit slicing
one?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No, not the slicing.
No, not the slicing one.
It's a puzzle game where like if you drop two of the same fruit, it becomes a different fruit.
Yeah. One of my friends was playing this last year. Yeah. Or maybe it was one of you actually. Did we play this in Germany or something? No.
Nah, I think
I talked about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it took off a couple of months ago. Like it started
really
hitting. Like people on Twitch started streaming it.
Okay.
Because it's like it's a puzzle game, but it's also a little bit physics based. So unlike with Tetris, when you drop like nowadays, people have figured out what the best way is to make a Tetris depending on the block, and like so it's kind of like chess where the moves are set.
Yeah.
But because it's physics based, there's also a luck element to it. So if you drop it on a certain spot, it might not. Things move around a little bit, so you might connect the dots and get a bit higher score, or things might not play out. Or like I tried to drop it here and think to do this, but then it bounces off of something, and so there's a bit more of a luck element or a random element to it.
I see.
Yeah, I think I can.
Yeah. You guys both have it on your phones, yeah.
I don't have it on my. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have it on the Switch.
Oh, nice.
But yeah. So.
Okay. So you're like pulling a cloud that's dropping.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then the goal is to make a watermelon, right? But you can only get that by putting like the bigger fruit together.
Oh, I see. So like the fruit kind of level up, change size and shape, and then you. So yeah, it is a little bit got a little Tetris element.
Mm-hmm.
Also, kind of like like it feels like Bubble Pop or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Is this big in the arcades yet? I feel like this would be
actually
huge if they could recreate it somehow.
Yeah, actually, I don't think it's in arcades. Funny story about this is like
Yeah.
there's this company that it's made by a company that makes projectors, like just
Really?
like yeah, and it was like a built-in game for the
Oh, no
projectors, but they
way.
never. Then they decided to bring it out to Switch, and apparently it really took off.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so it wasn't even like a traditional game company that actually
What?
started it, which makes it very interesting.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
A projector is going to be the next,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
next big game platform that we're seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did it work on the projector? Do you know?
I don't know. I think you just played it with like the remote for the projector. I
Oh,
guess.
okay.
And then it would project
that
onto
makes
like
sense.
the screen and then do it like that.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So they actually had like the game software embedded in the
Yeah.
projector.
It was kind of just like this little bonus that became bigger and bigger. Like when you ported it to a different platform, appeared to be very successful. So.
Yeah. Huh. And how about another recent big story was Power World. How has that been? How has that been received in Japan games industry?
I mean, there's definitely talk about it internally, or like the team that I work for. We also do like lots of market research, or looking at other titles and seeing what they do, and so on and so forth. But there's definitely talk about it. I can't say if it's positive or negative. Really depends on the person I feel that you talk to. Like some people are like, it's just a ripoff. While others are like more open-minded about it. I think it does. And this is my personal opinion. Like remove all of like the AI created assets or like just the element. I think it's at its core, it's a fun game that a lot of people seem to enjoy, and I think it's really cool that a small team. Like people with even not that much experience were able to create something like that. So I think it's interesting. I think it's good for the industry that something like this, grows so exponentially or really pops off. So I don't know.
難しいですよね、あれは。なんて言ったらいいんだろう。すごく急に成功したなっていう印象もあって、あんまり知らなかったし、今もゲームそれ自体はやってないから映像でしか見てないんですけど、まあでも若い人たちがあれを面白いと思うだろうなっていう要素は何個かあるなっていうのと、やっぱりベースになるゲームがあるじゃないですか、例のゲームがあって、であれがあるっていうその位置関係が面白いっていうのも分からなくはないというか、ね、すごく悪意を持って何かをしているわけでもないけど、悪意を感じなくもないというか、なんかそこの感じが正直面白いなとは思うんですけど、それをじゃあいろんな人がやって同じように成功するかっていうとまた違うし、今のタイミングで感じで作ったから、何かの都合でうまくいってるっていうのはあると思いますけど、結局よく似たものっていろいろあるけど、大体成功しないケースが多い。なぜならやっぱりオリジナルがやっぱ強いんですよね、どうしても。なんでやっぱりそれに近づこうとした何かっていうのは良くないんですよね。ですからオリジナルと関係なくなんか面白いものを作ろう、結果なんか似たものになったっていうケースは多分成立するかもしれないけれども、何かオリジナルがあってこれ成功したからこれになんか似たものを作ろう、これねインディーの人たちとゲームの開発の聞くときに起こりがちな間違いだと思うんですけど、また後でインディーの話もしたいんですけど、何か成功したいものがあってそれっぽいものを作りたい、1個だけじゃなくて 2,3 個あってそれに近しい何かを作りたいっていうケースにおいて面白いものを見たことがないというか、やっぱり全く違う面白いものを作ろうと思ってる中で要素として何かを取り入れるっていうのはあるけど、何かこっちを目指して下から行くとやっぱり超えれないというか、やっぱそこの違いを感じますよね。でパルワールドの場合は多分元のものも意識はしてるでしょうけど、何か面白いものを作りたいと。ただこの要素が彼らにとってすごくベースとして多分あったんでしょうね。だからどちらかというとそれに近しい何かを作りたいというか、違うものを作ってるけど影響がすごく受けてしまったっていう状態だから、まだ面白いものが作れたのかなっていう印象はありますよね。でインディーの人にもぜひそういう作り方の方がいいんじゃないかなとは思いますよね。
Yeah, so basically, Okabe-san understands why kids are drawn to it, or like what they find interesting about it. At the same time, there's also a lot of like discussion of like it's maybe a little bit too similar to other things that you've seen before.
Yeah.
And he believes that it's probably done in good faith instead of bad faith, but there's still the discussion that it could have been done in bad faith. But and we'll get into this later as well with like indie games and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
We really want to share with indie creators as well. Is like usually when we see a pitch for like an indie title, like it's like we want to create something similar to like this type title that's already out on the market, or like this mainly this title with like two other elements from other titles. But if you use that approach, like the original is so strong, it's very difficult to outdo them in most cases, I guess. So you always reach like a middle point where it's like it's not as good as the original and has some fun ideas perhaps, but it's not like as strong as the original that they were aiming for. But what he feels with Palworld is like they were, there was probably something interesting that they wanted to make that heavily relied on elements from other titles, but it wasn't the focus to be like, let's try to aim for the same ground as those other titles. So just they took heavy inspiration from them, I guess, right?
これが正しい例えかどうか難しいところですけど、例えばビートルズっていうグループがいて、ビートルズのモノマネをするそのバンドみたいなの、もう見た目も、モノマネバンドみたいなものがあるとして、これってもう彼らにリスペクトもあるでしょうけど、ビートルズを超えれないですよね、当然モノマネなんで。ただ例えばオアシスってすごくビートルズが好きなバンドだったと思うんですけど、間違ってたらごめんなさいなんですけどオアシスはもうビートルズが好きすぎるぐらいの信者みたいなことを言ってたと思うんですけど、ただ彼らのすごくオリジナリティがあって、そのビートルズよりも好きっていう人もいるぐらいにはなれるとは思うんですよね、全く違うものとしても。なんでやっぱりそこですよね、そのモノマネになってしまうか、影響を受けてそれを自分たちの個性にできるかっていうところの違いとして、同じように好きであっても全然結果が変わるっていうのが、そこを何ですかね、ゲームを作る時だとどっちかというとやっぱりみんなモノマネになってしまうんですよね。自分たちは自分たちの何か個性的なものを作ろうと思ってるけど、実際にやってることってモノマネタレントみたいな状態になってるんで、そうではないところにシフトできるかどうかっていうのは大きなその要素、ここ気づけるか気づけないかっていうのは多分なんですかね、ゲームの結果に大きく変わるんじゃないかなとは思いますよね。
Yeah, so to continue, like you have let's use music as an example. Not sure if it's the best way to explain it, but you have the Beatles, right? And you always have like cover bands that like try to be like the Beatles, but they can never be better than the Beatles, right? Or like at least close. But like an example that Okabe-san gave was Oasis, which I believe, or like we believe that they were big Beatles fans as well. So they were able to take inspiration from that and kind of create their own thing with that, based on their love for the Beatles, or like the inspiration that the Beatles gave them. So I think when you're developing something, you really need to have an understanding, like, am I just like trying to be a cover band and try to get close to the original, or kind of try to take inspiration and do something different with that. So I think that's the main way to change it.
インディーの人たちによく、インディーじゃなくてもその何か作ろうとするときによく起こりがちなのは、モノマネから当然スタートしていいんですけど、モノマネから次自分のものにしていくっていうその過程をその壁を乗り越えれる人と乗り越えれない人で、やっぱりその将来が変わるというか、作るものがやっぱり変わるんで、やっぱり自分のものにしていく人は何かしら新しい価値を提供できる人になるけれども、やっぱりモノマネで止まってしまうと、どうしてもモノマネだったらオリジナルの方がいいってお客さんはどうしても思うんで、やっぱりそこの違いを意識してみたらどうかなとは思いますよね。
Yeah, so when developing, or like you kind of need to have that self-reflection to see like, where am I headed? Like, because if you just try to make something close to the original because you just liked it, then you'll probably never outsell the original, and like never make something that can be its own thing. But if you understand, like you can start out by like trying to mimic them, but then use that and create it into something your own, or take lessons from that you can then make it more yourself or like original. Yeah,
Right.
true to yourself, I guess.
Yeah, I guess because whether it's, game or art or music, it's like if that was made by not you, a different set of people and their own circumstances, their own
Right.
reasons for doing it that way. So if you just look at it on the surface, I feel like it's really hard to capture all the reasons that they made things a certain
Right.
way. Like, oh, maybe, I don't know how the original Pokemon was made, but like, maybe someone drew like I always hear with the backstory of Zelda, it's because, a lot of the directors, they was like, how do I inspire my kids to go outside and play and like
Right.
discover and climb trees and look under rocks? And
Right.
so to me, like that really resonated with me.
Mhm.
But I would never have known that if I just looked at Zelda, just like, okay, it needs to be
Right.
outside and
Yeah.
you need to be able to like find things in the forest, but
Right.
like you wouldn't really get the essence of
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
話全く変わりますけど、30年ぐらい前に大阪城公園、大阪城ホールってあるじゃないですか、近くに。であそこに友達と吉川晃司さんっていうアーティストがいるんですけど、日本、その人のコンサート、その友達がファンだったんで一緒に行ったんですよ。でそのコンサートが始まる前に近くの、ちっちゃいまだライブハウスかなみたいなところがあるところの近くでご飯か何かお土産を買おうと思ってそっちに行ったら、そこで偶然オアシスのお兄ちゃんの方がもう2,3人連れてなんか買い物してたんですよ。で当時オアシスまだそんな知らなくて、多分セカンドアルバムぐらいのツアーで来てたんですけどね、そこの多分ちっちゃいのまだライブハウスで、大阪城公園じゃなくてちっちゃいライブハウスの方で多分してたんでしょうね、その演奏を。で周りにすごい女の子たちがそのアルバム持って叫んでたんですよ。でそのアルバムも見たことないし、であの人誰って、近くで見たんですよ僕。そのお兄ちゃんがその何かお買い物してたところの横で私たちもお買い物してたんで、いやなんか女の子たちがもうアルバムこう振りながら叫んでるなと思って、その子たちに「あれ誰?」って言ったら「オアシス」って嬉しそうに言ってて、分からんなと思ってで帰って調べたらめっちゃ有名なバンドって生で見て、あの時握手できたなと思いながら。
そうですね。人生変わったかもしれないですね。
変わらないでしょうけど面白いなと思う。
Yeah, so this is a completely different story, but because we talked about Oasis, but actually Okabe-san met the older brother, the eldest one. Yeah, so
in Osaka,
yeah, because they were in Osaka. They were like Osaka Castle has like a park around it. They have like Osaka Hall, which is like a concert hall, and Okabe-san was there with a friend, like going to a live concert of like a Japanese artist, but before they were going to a live house. And actually at that live house, that's where he saw like the elder brother, older brother rather. But back then they were very like, they weren't that they only had released their second album, so they weren't really that famous. So we had no idea who he was actually. But there were just like a lot of girls like holding her album. Oh, please sign my album! Please sign my album! And it was only after that when he looked it up back at home, there was like, oh, they were really famous guys. That was Oasis, yeah. That he figured that out. I was like, yeah.
You just found yourself getting in line and buying an album, and you didn't know why. But I want this guy to sign it. Oh, that's cool. What was like a live house? It was like a place with like live music, like a bar kind of place, or
live house? Sorry, I thought it was. I guess it's like.
It's just a small venue.
Small venue. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like underground, like.
Got it. Yeah, where like people. Music performance.
Yeah, music
concert.
Small
Okay.
Events.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, what is because I was like, oh, like that's to me that's like a new word, a live house.
Oh yeah,
so that's like literally what it translates.
They call
it's
it
only Japan.
That's so cool.
I think in Japanese you call it wasei eigo. It's like Japanese made English, because like they just put together English words that don't really like exist, but then it creates a word in its own.
Oh sure, yeah. What's it like inside? I want to go there mentally.
There is a stage and then あと客席がある。
Basically just a stage and then like area for the
okay.
for the customers. So I think it's similar to like those underground events.
That's like a bar with
But
some drinks.
sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
Sometimes they
Sometimes
have
no
the
bar.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I've never been either actually to like a live house. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be the set of our next recording.
Yeah,
the
who
next
knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the live, maybe we can do something like use the live house.
For like a live record, or like a fan festival kind of. Live recording, live house.
At the live house.
Followed by a concert of Oasis, right? Like,
I was gonna say Okama-san on stage. Yeah, we're gonna go drink now, but you should play.
Jam with those guys.
That good thing. Yeah.
Cool. If it's in Osaka, I'll probably lean on you to invite the friends and family or the teammates. Yeah, that could be fun.
Yeah. No, that could be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like some of the podcasts that I listen to. They have them like those live recordings, or like whether you go to an event and they rent out like like I guess for you, like when you were a producer, like Q&A sessions with the fans, and then you just do a live recording of that. So it's quite similar, I think. Or like people have done it before, so I think we can do it too. If the fan base is there, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm sure at a game conference eventually we could do that. Like
if it gets big enough.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, if it's like a small, because sometimes I think sponsors or people with booths, they'll have a stage with like rotating programming.
Right.
I'm sure we all have friends that there's like a Twitch booth or thing.
I
know. Although that level's something else now. But
that's an interesting trend. I feel like when I started going to like those big conventions, like game conventions, like it was still like very classic. Like here's this big statue of a character from the game and like some things around it. But like as time evolved, they created these small rooms with all of these live streamers to stream from the event, playing like a title that hadn't come out yet. And like it makes sense for people at home, but for people at the convention, it's just like there's just people behind glass playing games. It's not really that interesting from if you attend the event itself.
Totally.
Yeah, I always find that a weird evolution, I guess.
時代だなみたいな。
Yeah.
Z 世代はそんな感じかみたいな。
Yeah. Like the Z Generation Z is probably into this thing or that.
Seriously. I mean, I wonder, like, do the conventions even stay around? Like, I think business conventions, it's still pretty good. We'll all be at Game Developer Conference, San Francisco next month. There's really, I feel like only a few industry events, but then the consumer events, I think that's where it's really going to be different. Because people are so used to just finding out about games, interacting with creators, podcasters from home. It's like, is it worth me as a fan? It's expensive to say travel across your country or somewhere else to meet someone.
Yeah, I feel the only events where it still makes sense, like back when I was living in Belgium, and I was of course really into Japanese culture, but there are not that many shops, or like, not sure now, but there used to be not that many shops where you could get like real Japanese manga or like goodies or posters. So you had these conventions, like those anime conventions. I think they have them in the US as well. So like the only reason why you go is to buy stuff, so it becomes really expensive. But but like for game conventions, just like to stand in line for 2 hours to try a demo for 15 minutes of a game, or like even more than that, like waiting time. Don't think it makes that much sense anymore to people.
Right. So we're so used to like, I want to play this game now. So I see it on TikTok. I hit the store, maybe I have to install an app. Maybe not even that. I'm playing. So
and like from the business side as well, you're probably like, okay, having a booth this big at this convention is probably like 2-3 million. For the same amount of money, I could probably cut like a demo of the game, put that out on the store, which reaches far more people.
True.
So I think, especially from consumer perspective, it doesn't really make sense that much anymore, I think. Sad, I guess, but I guess I'm becoming an old man, right?
I know it very well could be we're just not in the core demographic, or like the person that goes as a fan anymore. But because I remember I mean, when E3 was around, I remember when I first went, I think I was maybe 20 or 21. And then I think from, around like 20 to 25, I was like really excited to go. And I think all in all, it was mostly the same over the years. Companies put on the shows and like you get to interact. But it was like, just as a gamer to be fully immersed, I can't see the sun. And I'm just in this big dome of games. And like with other people that also love games. So it is a little bit of like, the vibe and like we're in this together. Because I remember growing up I grew up in Palm Springs, which is pretty small community, and the gamer community, only a few of us in high school, also very small. So it kind of I think it like blew my mind the first time to just realize, oh yeah, like all these people also live around me in like games. So that's a bit of like you see yourself and the identity of the groups.
I know that makes a lot of sense. That's how I felt too. Yeah, especially E3. As you said, I was really excited about going to E3. It's kind of sad it's not around anymore.
But it's no longer.
So because like I was actually quite proud of that. But like when I entered Capcom, my goal was like by my third year, I want to go to E3. And I was able to, in my third year, go to E3. So I was really, really proud of that. So I think went 2 or 3 times. But
oh, that's cool. What was your project back then? Or what you?
Yeah, well, luckily, so I was more on like digital sales and stuff, but there were many business people coming to E3 as well. So I was more in those business conversations. So
nice.
I had the opportunity to go as well as like just translating and so on and so forth. So that was quite nice, and I got to see like the Sony and the Microsoft like their press conferences live, which was like really cool as well. So
there is no more like press conference these days, right? So,
no, I think so.
I feel sad. Actually.
It used to be like it made the industry feel really big, or like it made. Like maybe to people watching online, it probably didn't change that much. But if you're in the room, it makes you feel like, oh, okay, wow, this is like I remember seeing the Cyberpunk trailer, and then like Keanu Reeves coming up on stage, and whoa, like this is really big. But like
so maybe it's not cost effective anymore for the for the big publisher, but like, as a festival, we feel so much excitement for the game industry. So I want to keep. I want them to keep doing, even if it's not cost effective.
Even if it's not cost effective, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep a little bit of the fun or like the art of it, spirit of the thing. Yeah, it's like it's kind of same with esports. I was talking with a friend the other day. It's like, the whole, because I feel like esports as something people wanted to work in, or like as an up and coming industry within games, was really big maybe 5-10 years ago. Obviously there's still tournaments, like you have the Fighting Game like Evo conferences, so like Riot Worlds, they're still really, really big, really fun. And it's like, if the company can support it, it's like, does the esport business need to be like profitable or a certain way, or is it's marketing for the game, and it's an investment in the community, and like it comes at a cost, but it's kind of one of those things where maybe it pays the dividends later.
It's difficult. I think we're still trying to figure that out with Street Fighter, I think, because I'm not sure how much we can say about it, but because we do have like Street Fighter. We've tried many different things with Street Fighter, like the Street Fighter League here in Japan, where it's like 3 versus 3 and so on and so forth. But like, it's at this point in time, it's very difficult to say. There's, as you said, lots of buzz about esports, but it's difficult to say like, what are we actually like? What is the goal for esports? And I don't think anyone really knows at this point in time, right? Besides like creating a community, perhaps. I don't think there's like real monetary value in it, or like clear monetary value, right? So I think that's difficult.
Yeah, it's definitely different than like I worked in music some before, and it's like like artists can make a lot of money from touring, and the whole industry is built around supporting that. But I always found a big difference. Like even when I was at Yahoo, we like live stream concerts, at home, and it was just, I mean, I love going to live concerts. I also love watching some live streams, and it's like the at-home experience of music and the at the concert experience of music. That those are like very different, versus games. The at-home experience of games versus in person. I mean, you could almost argue that at-home's better because you don't have to wait in line. It's on your own monitor, better internet. Like it's it's that's like kind of funky.
I think that's probably where esports struggle, right? Like
but I went the TwitchCon. I went there like a few years ago, and I saw the big stage for the esports event. I feel something different from the just playing the game in the house.
That's true.
Just watching them playing some kind of a battle royale game is kind of excitement. So I feel really different compared to the normal just playing in the house. But I don't know. In Japan, we don't have that kind of the huge venue only for the esports or something like that. So it's kind of difficult for us to keep doing.
I think it's more of like also, as you said, like I think just like music, there's a difference of like it being live and like with an audience that you're watching, and it probably is more exciting and more fun than watching from at home. But because so few people have experienced like the live experience, or it's more difficult to sell or imagine. Like if you see an artist live, you can, or even if you've never been to a concert, you can imagine like, oh, they change it around a bit, they play with the audience, it'll be fun to go there. You can imagine that. But if you think about, oh, if I go to this live esports event, it'll be difficult to watch, and like there are people around me, and like I mean, I think it's more difficult to realize that it can be a completely new or better experience going to a live event than just watching or like doing a live stream from home.
I see. So you're talking about like almost the like mentality of someone going into the event, like the expectations.
Because I mean, I've never been to an esports event before, so I also have no like real incentive to seek it out. Or like as I said, it's difficult to find reasons to go. If I'm really into it, I can just watch the live stream anyway, right?
Maybe we can do the small esports event using the Capcom arcade studio. And the live house there.
A big esports live house podcast event. Why not?
So the key is that in between matches, all the players have to play music. Well, it's good. It resets your brain and your fingers for the mouse, and seriously. That's based on what you were saying about the like it is still different going to like like a PUBG tournament or something where you feel the energy of the crowd, but maybe it's those also, I guess, kind of like music, like you have kind of like smaller, more intimate venues, because if everyone there really gets the game and you know exactly what's going on, you play the game a lot, you're really into it, it is really fun to be around that human energy in a way. People all, as soon as someone does something that is really impressive, maybe if someone's never played that game before, they don't understand how impressive that was. But if everyone's there and gets it, it is a bit like, oh yeah, that's this is different.
I think maybe the community aspect of it is really important, even with like music concerts. Like you're all fans, and you're like, as you mentioned before with E3, like there are so many people around me liking games. I think if you go to a live concert, it's kind of like this. There's so many people who also all know the lyrics to the song, who also all know it, who are also all emotional at the same time. I think that carries a lot of how to say emotion, or human element to it, brings a human element, community element to it, which I think with esports is more difficult. Well, people haven't experienced it yet, which is why they're not as incentivized to go to the event. Or like, I don't know, to slightly change topics, but like do you feel like there's a community when you watch something like a live stream on Twitch where like everyone's talking in chat, or do you not feel really connected to that? I was just personally interested in hearing your takes on it. But...
昔にニコニコ超会議っていうのにバイオハザードのリベレーション2を販売してた頃に、実際カプコンのブースがあって、でそこの一角本当にちっちゃいところでそのリベレーション2のライブストリーミングみたいなことをしたんですね。 でお客さんにそのタイムアタックみたいなものをしてもらいながら、でニコニコ超会議なんで画面に文字が出るじゃないですか。でそこに質問とか出たら私が答えるみたいなことをやってたんですね。でその時には目の前にもお客さんがいて、お客さんがプレイして、でオンラインで見てる人はチャットに書き込んでっていうのをやってて、ですごく面白かったんですよね、その感覚っていうのが。でなんていうんですかね、逆に目の前のお客さんはコメントできないんですよ。見て楽しむだけ。でオンラインの人たちは逆に能動的に参加してコメントを書いているみたいな状態になってるんで、そのコメントを読めるものは読んで、でそれに答えながら、で実際にそのゲームをしてそのクリアしたらなんか景品みたいなのをお渡しするみたいなやつだったんですけど、その中で一番面白いのはやっぱりそのコメントをその実際に遊んでるゲームのコメントが流れてきて、それがやっぱコメントすごく面白くて、その日本の特有な文化かもしれないんですけど、めちゃめちゃ面白いことをそのタイミングでこう書く人っていうのがいて、もうそれはすごい才能だなって思うんですけど、もう職人みたいな人がいるのかどうかあれなんですけど、めちゃめちゃ面白いんですよね、それが。本当特殊な技能だと思うんですけど、あれが起こるとすごくなんていうんですかね、参加してる方も見てる方も面白いっていう状態が作れて、すごく特殊な感じ。多分これ日本のすごく特殊な様式美というか感覚なのかなとは思うんですけど、カプコン TV ってあるじゃないですか。あれに出る時にも一応ツイッターのコメントとかライブで見て、でそれで面白いものがあればピックアップすることもやってたんですけど、やっぱそこで面白いことが書ける人が参加してる時としてない時でやっぱり全然その盛り上がりが変わるというか、なのでチャットに面白いことを面白いタイミングで書ける人っていうのがいるかいないかすごく重要になってくる。
Yeah, so Okabe-san took part in an event when he was a producer, I think for Resident Evil Revelations, right?
Revelation 2, yeah.
Revelations 2. So there's this famous streaming website in Japan called Nico Nico Doga. It was Chokaigi, I believe.
Yeah,
Chokaigi. And so they were doing this event where someone was playing, a user, like someone in the audience basically was playing, was doing like a time attack, like speed run rather of the game, and when he beat the game in a certain time he got like a prize. And at the same time there were like comments coming in from like chat, and he felt that like might be particularly to Japan, but like if there's really someone, there were several people who could say like very funny comments at the exact right time, and that really livened up everything. And that really made a big change to like how fun the event itself was. So it really depends on if there's people like that in chat or if there aren't people like that in chat. But if there are, then it does become very interesting, which is
so it's kind of like the timeliness of the responses.
Yeah.
At least I feel like on Twitch I still like to watch certain esports like Dota or StarCraft, Counter-Strike sometimes, and at least I find if I'm watching it at home, like I like to focus on the action, but if something either really like bad, like oh man that was bad, or like oh wow that's really good, then I flip on chat because I want to see, I like want to share that moment with everyone else.
Right.
So I'll like flip it on and see how everyone's reacting.
Right.
But otherwise I hide it and then I just watch the action by myself. So it's kind of like being in a concert and you get to like jump in the crowd for a little bit and then you like get to go back to your own experience.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So is Nico still used this these days, or?
I think so, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't hear a lot about it anymore. I think they're still around for sure. So, weren't they? I was quite. I'll need to look this up afterwards, but like I think they're owned by quite a big like company, like some kind of shosha or like anything owns Nico Nico Doga, I think. I was looking up. I don't remember when I found it, but like apparently like some big Japanese company owns Nico Nico Doga, which it always felt very niche and like to me at least, very small. So
Well, I guess you could say the same with Twitch and Amazon.
Yeah,
too.
right.
Maybe a
Yeah.
little more apparent now, but
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
people were
Yeah.
less inclined, didn't know as much before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, Twitch. Yeah, Twitch. I actually don't really watch that much live streams, to be honest. So I'm not really that well versed in like Twitch culture and so on and so forth. When I interact with like Twitch and stuff, it is really interesting.
Yeah.
But I never really sit down to watch it properly myself. I don't really know why, but yeah. But it is interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to find you a couple creators that fit your vibe.
And, yeah, definitely.
Like, it's like creator's vibe, and then ideally like with gamer content that you also like. Although now, I think by far the biggest category is just chatting. Which actually isn't about games.
Yeah.
It's more like lifestyle. People consuming content with the creator. You'll have like, they'll be watching a YouTube video of a creator reacting to another creator. So it's like almost you have 3 creators like in your screen that you're watching, which is pretty. Like they're able to play with time that way. Which is interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So
yeah, I do feel nowadays it's more like instead of watching someone play games, it's more of like going to a bar and talking to the bartender kind of vibe. So like just chilling out, the influencer is reacting to the chat or just having like various conversations. So I feel it's more a community that way, like a bar, so to speak.
割とスナックっていう表現をするケースがありますね。
Yeah, so that is when you would actually say, snack, like a snack that we talked about before.
So we were talking about whether we want to set some, or maybe the overarching theme of this podcast will actually be, at types of bars in Osaka or in Japan that are called snack bar, which I was saying, in English, the word snack recently can maybe not so PC, and that's not what we intend. But dude, you guys want to explain what is a snack bar in Japan? Set the scene.
Yeah, set the scene. So, well, since I guess the Yakuza games are probably popular, I guess this some people might understand. So you have hostess clubs, you call them hostess clubs, right? Where
Sorry, they recently changed the name.
Yeah, it's like a dragon.
Like a dragon,
Yeah, so they just translated the title. So because the series used to be in the West, it was called Yakuza, but the Japanese title is Yuga Gotoku, which is like a dragon.
I didn't realize
basically.
That.
And now lately, since the 7th one, I think they changed it to like Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon, and now it's just Like a Dragon 8 or like Infinite.
That's why I just bought the one from, the one not Infinite Wealth, but
the Man Without a Name, right?
I think so. The one that came out like 2020. I think just Like a Dragon.
Oh yeah, Like a Dragon.
It was like $8 on Steam or something.
That is
so I was like,
cheap. Scoop that up,
Yeah. So that'll sit in the collection for 10 years.
As it usually go, hey. So.
It's like I got Red Dead 2 in that list. These massive games. Like we're talking about those massive games.
Very similar here.
But anyway, we're saying the snack bar.
So snack bar. Bar? So you have hostess clubs, which is where women you pay women to kind of drink with you and kind of entertain you. And it's usually so that's like on one end of the spectrum, and it's a little bit like how to say it, a little bit more sexualized, I guess, the women, the way they dress, or like it's more expensive, it's more
そのさっきの龍が如くで言うとキャバクラで、多分スナックとキャバクラっていうのは多分大きく違うけれども、まあ系統的には似てて、どちらかというとハイエンドなものがキャバクラで、まあローエンドっていう言い方が正しいかどうかですけど、まあいいか悪いかっていう意味じゃなくて、まあ、違いとして、ローエンドなのがスナックみたいな状態、でスナックはどちらかというとより何ですかね、そんなにお金がかからなくとも楽しめる、で一人で行ってそのオーナーのママの人と話して、カラオケして楽しむ、でお客さん同士でもつながりがあるみたいな、そういうなんかちっちゃなコミュニティみたいな、地元のコミュニティみたいなものがあるのが多分スナックみたいな、古き良き日本のなんかそういう、まあ女性の人があんまり行くっていう場所ではないとは思うんですけど、そのなんですか、おじさんが行くようなところみたいなイメージが今でもありますよね。
Yeah, so I tried to compare it to hostess clubs, but hostess clubs is like more expensive, more extravagant, I guess. While snack bars are more like old school, traditional, and it's not as expensive, so you can just go there to have like a fun time. It's usually run by like they call them a mama, which is like an elderly woman, who then has like this very small bar with a karaoke machine, so you can sing. Karaoke scene, have some drinks, talk to the mama, also like talk to the other clientele, because it's always like this small community where everyone's kind of connected, everyone knows everyone, so you can just go there, or like a lot of elderly males, elderly guys usually go there, just kind of have a fun time.
I see.
Yeah,
kind of sounds like maybe in the US there's kind of like the driver or drive-ins or like diners where you have the jukebox. You know, it's like usually like a lot of truckers or people that are like driving long distance, but they also do the same route. So then they will go into these same restaurants on their route, you know, every couple weeks. Sometimes, you know, if they live in the town, it's nice. It's usually more for like breakfast. You have like a big like steak and eggs kind of breakfast, and then one thing I'm a huge coffee drinker is that they always have like unlimited coffee, which I think originally is to help people that are driving because they want them to be safe and be awake on the road. But yeah, it is a bit more relaxed, lots of regulars, older, and then you end up talking with the bartender, or not the bartender, because it's not really for drinking, but with the waitress, the waiter more.
That's nice.
Because so for hostess clubs, I feel like that's, you know, from an American point of view, that's like, you know, that's like a bit of like like maybe that's kind of like part of like the weird part of like Japanese nightlife. Like, is it received that way in Japan as well? Like, what would you say if you were, you know, telling like a female coworker or like your wife you're going to like hostess club? Is that...
Well, my wife's been abroad for a long time, right? So I think her perspective is different. But basically, when I started working in Japan, she was like, I'll break up with you if you ever go to a hostess club.
There you go. Yeah.
I think it's more of like, like, because gaming is quite new, so I don't think there's like this huge culture in, at least from what I know, on like the Capcom side or like the Japanese gaming side, where you go to bars like that. But I feel if you're like a big banker or something like that, and you want to do business deals, then it is quite common to like go to Ginza and go to like one of the very fancy places. And I think it's more of kind of like
it's very old school one,
very old school examples, but
it's still someone doing still.
I think some industries still do it. It's more of like, I want to show you a good time, or like we can focus on talking business while some like nice lady is pouring drinks for us, and we don't have to think about it, or we can kind of have a fun conversation, or like
I see.
I have a Belgian friend who was like he's in the food business, like importing foods and stuff, and he says that for his clients he still has to go to like those places in order to like seal the deal, or like if they invite him to, you want to come to the hostess club, and he's like, sir, I'm gonna head home, and then probably ends up in no deal, or like less quantity. So like from a sales perspective, there is still some.
That could be like basically like a decision point.
A decision point
deal.
of yeah.
Interesting. Hey everyone, we hope you enjoyed part 1 of our very first episode. We'd love your questions and feedback. In fact, you can email us at podcast@conduit.gg, and we'll respond to a couple questions live on air every episode. Part 2 will begin shortly, so grab that coffee or highball depending what time of day it is, and we'll see you back here. Arigatou gozaimasu.